What's up, you guys? It's King Ink here, and welcome again to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about a little topic today while building my cool little KAWS figure here in the background. Today, I'm going to be talking about what progress is for me. A little talking point that's been on my mind a lot recently. I've kind of been just trying to wrap my head around what progress really is for me, the bad ways that I've looked at it, and how I'm trying to shift it for the better. I want to have a lot more positivity in my life because growing up, it was pretty negative. It's not something that I deserve or that I want now. Ever since I moved out when I was 17, I promised myself that I need to have progress. I need to move. I need to do something better than I did the day before. And that's a lot easier said than done. It takes a lot of work. This takes me into my next point, what it takes to heal when it comes to progress. Because part of your progress also has to do with your mental, your physical, what you do on your day-to-day, whether that be with your friends or even alone. For me, what it takes to heal is honestly kind of just looking back on the things that bothered you. What things really had you stuck when it felt like you didn't even have to be stuck, but you still were, whether you liked it or not. Feeling the feelings of the bad stuff. I don't want to say ever linger on the bad things. I'm not here to say, oh, get stuck on the same page. I won't lie though. I've always been told and reprimanded to move on, to flip to the next page, turn over a new leaf. But personally, I don't think anybody has the right to tell me, or anyone for that matter, for the people who are listening, when to flip our page, when to turn a new leaf, because sometimes I gotta finish reading the page. Sometimes I have to go back and highlight some things and be like, hey, this actually affected me a lot, and how is this affecting me now, and how will it affect my future if I don't change it? That's just me having that realistic mindset of certain things really affected me. The way I was spoken to, the lack of encouragement on things, the lack of being believed in, the lack of any trust. It felt a lot growing up as a kid to have these certain thoughts and have these certain opinions as I'm forming into this little flesh ball of being doubted, always being looked down on just because I was younger. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that I knew everything, because I still don't know everything. I think I deserved more credibility, especially with how much work I ended up putting into wanting to have that credibility. I studied, I got my good grades, I showed up when I had to show up, and every now and then I had a little side hustle and I'd get myself my little kid money, and even then after that, I was still met with backlash of I'm not doing enough, that I'm not adequate, that everything I'm doing is fake, and just being gaslit into thinking that I had no progression of my own at all. That is my question right now. Why am I like this? Why progress is something that I'm still trying to figure out now. I am like this because something that I realize is caretakers are honestly just kids who grew up and sometimes do the wrong things. That has a lasting effect on what sometimes we think is enough, what we think of ourselves, and it really does basically leach into our future if we don't have it taken care of. Some of the things that happened for me is, my hyper independence. When I was 12, 13, kind of going into middle school, so sorry if I'm getting the years a little bit wrong, I knew that I had to get myself out of that space. I knew that there was something wrong, but also at the same time, it was kind of my usual. Both while knowing that I hated where I was, I also didn't really know what to do. So I went towards, the internet, and I started looking things up. I started reading. When it came to school, I took a few classes that helped me out, inspiring me with my future. And I took this one class that was called Freshman Experience because I couldn't fathom taking AP US history, which now has been banned for stupid reasons. But I took this class named Freshman Experience, and I read this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, is what I believe it was called. I was like, holy shit. Okay, so there are things that I can do to help me have progress right now, because I just felt so stuck. I got really restricted when I was a kid. I wasn't allowed to go out with friends. I wasn't allowed to really go out. And I don't want to exaggerate and say that I was locked into my room and key was thrown out, because that wasn't what happened. To be forced into kind of a social isolation and only ever being able to be with the few family members I had was pretty detrimental to my kind of developing socially and getting things done and being adventurous and following my curiosity, as I always say. It was very restricted. Everything only could have revolved the few family members I had, and it wasn't even supportive. I know for some people family's everything, but just as much as family can be everything, family can also destroy everything. I'm going to lead into my next point of how I've grown. Now that I've moved out, I took responsibility for my own things. I've done my own research. I didn't want to rely on the help of the people who also were the reason why I had so much of my progress destroyed and so much of my self-confidence basically shot. So I took things into my own hands. I stopped asking questions to people who I knew were just going to judge me. I went towards looking things online, looking through, forums, looking up books, PDFs when I couldn't go out, because I could check out a few books here and there from school, but not that much. I looked up online. I got myself educated more than I already was in school. I loved that freshman experience class. I had a teacher who was honestly like a mother to me and like my mentor, and I'm still in contact with her. I realized that things aren't really that deep. Just know that I can actually try my best without being like a failure every time I make a little mistake, because I learn the most whenever I make my mistakes. Do I get frustrated? Of course I do. What do I do now is basically I just try to reflect on what it is I'm doing, what it is that I want to get done, and what little step I can take today that would be at least some sort of tiny step. It's better to have something done in the day than to have nothing done. And so maybe like, for example, when I started with working out, and I've had bad progress, so I feel like I'm still starting out with my workouts, I at least put a timer where I need to get my gym clothes on, set up my little weights in my room, and then actually sit there for like a minute or two, do my stretches, and work out for 5 minutes. And I know some people might judge, and I honestly don't care. Working out for 5 minutes gets me started and gets like my blood flowing, gets my energy pumping, and lets my brain know that I actually did go through with going to the gym, with working out, with doing something. So showing up every day and doing that little bit helps me, because I'm like, holy shit, I can actually do this. I can actually do the things that I say. Because I heard somebody else, I'm in Godsey, said it, that we get really angry when somebody else breaks our promises, but when we break our own promises to ourselves, sometimes we don't really care. And now that I think of it that way, it's like, shit, that's really true, because I fucking hate people who like, make a promise, but then they never even meant to keep it in the first place. But why am I letting myself have the slack, So I just try to show up. So 5 minutes at the gym, either I stop or I keep going. And usually I'm able to keep going for a few more minutes. And if I'm having a really bad day, then I know I dressed up and I went and I worked out and I did what I had to do, and I take a shower and I keep going. Another thing that I do with eating, I was very restricted growing up with my food, very much not for good reason. I hit a point where I was eating 1 meal a day, and that's really bad for a actual developing like child teenage body. And now that I've moved out, it was really hard when I moved out, because it's been a few years now since I moved out when I was 17, and just now am I feeling like I'm enjoying the fruits of my labor of actually remembering to eat 3 times a day and having some safe snacks in between, and not getting stuck with binging and making myself sick in the morning, because I've already had like stomach issues since I was like a little kid. I could go 2 seconds without blowing chunks for like any reason. I could drink water wrong and it was, up goes the water. But now I just made sure to have a little snack. Like sometimes in the morning, like I would be so nauseous that all I could get down was my cup of water and maybe a saltine cracker or 2. And it's that bad. And, I know you guys don't know me, but this is just kind of my little moment to be a little bit vulnerable. But I just take everything step by step, even if it's a little. I started with maybe 1 saltine cracker, and then for lunch, it was like a bowl of rice with a little bit of seasoned meat, like nothing too crazy, just something that I could get down so I could say, hey, I ate 3 times today. Even if it was a tiny, tiny amount, at least it was 3 times in a day, spaced out with water, hydration, and just more enjoyable than starving the entire day, binging a bunch at night, and then waking up in the morning feeling horrendously sick. Because it's not something that I wanted even before. Because I don't want to get hooked on being like, oh, haha, like, I'm not a teenager anymore, I don't act like that. No, bro, like, I'm still young as fuck, and this was just like an issue that I had. Because I know some people are like, oh, but like, I don't want to be feeling like I'm an old person or nothing. I'm like, no, this has nothing to do with age, honestly. Just genuinely it hurt, bro. Like, we gotta eat properly or we get fucked over, especially if you have a sensitive stomach. So that's what I'm doing. And then otherwise with, my personal progress and my work progress, I take every day as the day is, like step by step, clock in, do my work. I make sure to have a little snack. Sometimes I reward myself with maybe an energy drink every now and then, just to get through the day, and also to have something, a little sweet to make it a little bit more positive, because I am a true believer in rewarding my small accomplishments, because before, my small accomplishments would go unnoticed because me accomplishing things was expected of me. And don't get me wrong, I love to be high achieving. I love to push myself. But the way that it was presented to me as a child was, even if you do something good, it doesn't matter because that's what you're supposed to be doing anyways. So why should we be happy about you doing good things and accomplishing things if that's what you're supposed to do? Like, there's very much a better way to say that and to actually make it positive instead of, kind of being an asshole about it. So that leads me now into my last point of what I think my future is and what I will be doing for my future. Right now, honestly, I've gotten a lot better with actually writing things down, getting them on paper, because I overthink a lot. And I hated the whole journal this, journal that, but it's because journaling wouldn't have saved me when I was 17. Journaling would have done nothing before I was 17 because I can't write my way out of a bad situation physically. Let's be realistic. Me writing down these thoughts wouldn't have gotten me out any faster than me putting in the actual work to find apartments, find roommates, find locations, find colleges, go and retake the SAT several times to get the most boosted score I could get. And there was a lot of other things that I had to do. So when counselors or people would tell me, you should start journaling, I would get mad because in that moment, journaling would have done nothing. But now that I moved out and I'm out here, journaling is helping me out because now I don't have all those dangers and those things to stress out about. I have the time to sit down, have a notebook, get some cool ass sticky notes and stickers and cool pens that I love that I'm sitting in front of right now, that you guys have seen on my stories, that you guys have seen me post because I honestly love it. I covered it in stickers that mean a lot to me so that I use it even more because I'm so indecisive of when I put down my stickers. And I write things down. I take notes. I write my random thoughts. I write down video ideas as they come by. I have a section where I draw stuff because I'm still an artist and I continue to want to, invest in that. And all these different, just right here in my hand is kind of like a, when your laptop doesn't have enough storage to be able to store all your photos and videos, especially for us editors and creators and just anybody who has a lot of digital media. Sometimes you need to get yourself a hard drive, an external hard drive, so that you can do the work properly without getting backed up, without getting stuck, without crashing, basically. So writing things down in a journal is kind of like my mental external hard drive, because now I'm not going to forget all of the 30 tasks I have to do in the day, basically. I won't forget them, and they're so much easier to get to. And now I don't, my brain doesn't have the fuel that it needs to overthink because my brain is scrambling. It's like that episode of SpongeBob when he has so much shit that he has to do and he doesn't know what to do with it. And everything just starts burning and setting on fire. So right now for my future is continue to journal, continue to get things done. I plan out my quarters, meaning separating my year into 4 quarters so that the progress that I do within 3 months feels like a year's worth of progress. And I won't lie, ever since I've done it this year, I feel like I've done more in these 3 months than I ever had last year, for example. Continuing with, giving myself patience and rewarding myself for small accomplishments and even big accomplishments, because doing a good thing, deserves good things back. And obviously a lot of these things I'm still waiting on, the reward to come, but I am also enjoying the process because my life is now. My life isn't just tomorrow, because technically tomorrow never comes because tomorrow turns into today. So if I always think of tomorrow, next thing you know, I might not have a tomorrow. So I'm also enjoying my day. And so by day to day, I enjoy having my things written out. I enjoy being able to eat again properly. I enjoy being able to get into fitness stuff and go back out to doing adventures and maybe figuring out my skateboard stuff. And for my future, I honestly just want to streamline my life and have more of my time back, because I already lost so much of it and I don't deserve to lose any more of it. So it's just, again, doing things every day in my future that are going to make me feel better, more accomplished, more positive, more excited about waking up the next day. And I know that's a little bit hard to fathom future-wise, but that's just kind of how I can explain it for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know this is a little bit of my different types of videos, but let me know what you think down there, because I have a few other Lego kits that I might want to build. So I feel like this is a good opportunity to both show off maybe my little nano blocks and have some pretty cool conversations with you guys and maybe some little advice. So feel free to put any questions down below if you guys want me to talk about a certain topic. I would love to do it, and I'd love to connect with you guys. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you watched the video all the way through, please put a notepad emoji in the comments so that I know that you watched it through. And make sure to follow me on all my other social media down below. Thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in. I hope you liked the video, and here's till the next one. Goodbye.